Alrighty, today is December 13th. It's a Monday. We gotta get this floor done, obviously, as I said yesterday. Then I pretty much went to sleep after that last clip. But I've already started around 9:30 just to document that. And we've got a row done. We've got an additional row added, and we're moving. And I just wanted to real quick talk about my method that I'm gonna do kind of moving throughout the rest of this room, because it is relatively straightforward. It's gonna take some time, but it's the process I think is probably gonna help some people that if you're in the need of doing this like yourself. I think I've come up with something relatively simple, so let me show you. So what I've done here, I did this on the first row and it worked pretty well. The first row that I did today here. And what I'm gonna do here on the second row and from here on out is I'm gonna take boards out of the box. Now you should do this anyway. I'm just trying to give you like explicit detail on how I do this by myself to minimize the amount of work that I have to do, like, you know, work smarter, not harder. So this first piece here, it's gonna be a different length depending on, you know, you can see up there, maybe some of the seams you wanna kind of stagger it, make it all random and everything. What I'm doing though, is I'm picking a board that I wanna use. So I pick the first board that I wanna use for this, and then if it's longer, you know, I'll make the cut. I'll just like take my marker, hit a line that's somewhere that's, make sure it's more than 8 inches from the last seam. And then again, just try to stagger it, make it random. I do not have a good, and I have not found a really good like way to do this. It's literally just make sure it's more than 8 inches away from the seams, make sure the board is longer than 8 inches, and then, you know, just kind of randomize it. But once I have that, and I have that board at that length, like I do, you can see here, that's the next one I'm gonna use. I take out, like, you know, if I need to open another box or whatever, I open a box and I put all the boards out. And this might just look like I put boards down, but what I did here was I said, okay, if this board was placed like, you know, right in this area, is it going to match anything? Is it gonna be, because this is vinyl, so they're just pictures on this, you know, on this vinyl, like that's not real wood or anything. So there's only like, if you lay this floor down, you will realize that there's a lot of them that look the same. And like, you know, you don't really want them to be right next to each other. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want, but there's a lot of pictures that are very similar. Maybe they're like flipped or they're like slid a little bit or whatever, but basically it's pretty much all like the same 6 or so patterns. Like you can, here's a good example right there. You can see like 2 things that are very similar, like kind of back to back there. Now that pattern I think is a little different, but you kind of get the point. There's stuff that is the same. If you look throughout the floor, you'd see it, but you want to kind of scatter it is kind of what I would say. So basically I take each one of these boards out and I just like kind of set them roughly in the place that they're gonna go. And it's like, does this look very similar to anything around it? Would I like it if the board was placed there? And then I've just kind of slid them all down, small detail, as I slid them a little bit of a gap there. And then I just layer the other one right on top of it. This doesn't really mean anything, that's just so I can grab it. And then at the end over here, I think this is last board, but if I needed a little extra piece, then I would just throw another one like, you know, in this vicinity. So to kind of give you the actual process, once I've planned everything, I literally, the point of this is so I only have to get down on the ground 1 time per row. I get down on the ground here, I, you know, pop that one in. If I need to use the mallet or whatever, I use it. And I just slide over on my knees to grab that one, boom, and do that consistently all the way down. And then I have my cutter conveniently placed at the end, because let's say that I needed to cut this board, like you're gonna need to cut most boards at the end. I think I need to cut this one a little bit just based on the measurement of this row. But I have my cutter here, so like I could be like ready to install this last one, marker in the pocket, because I always forget to have the marker in the pocket. Make like a little, you know, mark right here or whatever. Actually, you should flip it over, but I'm not going crazy in detail. Make the mark however you need to make the mark. Make sure you make it on the right side. Then just stick it in the cutter, cut it, and boom. The point of that, again, is maybe you have help. I did have help yesterday, but sometimes you don't. And if you're doing that, try to work smarter, not harder. I'm still young, so I don't have, you know, a lot of pain, but I'm starting to get some pain from doing all this shit. So I'm just trying to limit the amount of times that I have to, you know, punish my body. But yeah, I'm gonna rip through this, and I like that process. I think it's gonna work well, and hopefully we'll, it's like 10, I think it's like 10 o'clock now. Hopefully we can rip through this next 4 rows here or so, whatever, and then kind of get some of this out. I mean, you go through the boxes pretty fast when you do a big row like this. So if we can get some of this out of here, deal with that baseboard thing, and keep working, I think we'll be good to go. Hello, I'm on the floor. So I'm ripping through these rows here, and I figured that I'd film this clip to, you know, throw in this video, but also maybe have it somewhere else, because I've really refined this process of just like getting these bigger planks just in relatively quickly. And I know that I was confused when I first started learning about like vinyl plank and everything. So I'm gonna try to film and talk about exactly what I do when I have like a big plank here that I need to slide into our next position in this row. So what I do is I take the plank, and we're working like forwards in this sense. So we're taking this this locking type thing. We have a piece sticking out here at the bottom. Probably can't see that terrifically well, but let me actually show you what we have here. So we have I'm not sure if this is male or female end. We have the piece sticking out that's on the bottom of it, and we're gonna take this next piece and kind of lock it in. I'll show you that. We have it also on this side. The reason I'm showing this is because this is like working quote unquote forwards. You could also work backwards. We're not gonna tackle that right now because I'm not in a position to do that, but that's our situation right now. So knowing that, I take the next board, and this is the way that I specifically do it. Maybe there's a better way, but this has been working pretty good for me. I put this long joint in. So I kind of lock it in. It's not really locked in. It's kind of just like chilling there. And I'm always looking at this long side of this board for like any gaps initially. We're gonna get them out, but I'm looking at that at first. And then I gently slide it to the edge, to the corner here, because, and I wanna make sure you can see that, I gently slide it to that edge right there, right here. Because if you slide it too hard, you might break off. There's like little pieces in here that you might break off. So kind of be careful of that. But put her in here, line her up, and it's kind of tough if they're a longer board because you can kind of, it's not that easy to get in there, but there you go. It's in there, slide it over gently to the corner, and then I like to take it down a little bit. But the whole thing about this is that you gotta be like patient sort of in the beginning when you put this board in. I feel it's all about this first corner here. If you can get it tight on the long edge, this long edge, and then you use your mallet, your rubber mallet here, to hit, specifically if you hit it this way, because it's gonna dig in and lock that way, something like this, that's gonna be your best thing. If you can control this edge right here, which is, again, the one that we kind of slid it over to the corner. If you can control this edge and you don't have any gaps on really either side of here, and we'll manipulate it a little bit, but if you start right here and then you tighten this down and then you go through the length of the board, and we'll show that in a second, that is probably your best bet, because I just feel like that's worked the best for me. And I feel like the way that the board is kind of meant to kind of be, I don't know, put in. But yeah, so what I'll normally do is there's a slight gap here. You're not gonna be able to see all this, but there's a slight gap on the corner long edge. But what I'll do still is I'll make sure the short edge is all in, and then I'll just rub my hand over it, make sure it's pretty flat, and look at it from overhead. There's no real gap there or anything. And then this is the part that like I don't feel like enough people talk about. The way, when you look at this now, see if I can show you, it's probably not very visible. When you look at this, if you're sitting here, you would definitely notice it. There's definitely a little bit of a gap here. Like it's not much of a gap. You can kind of see it better over here, but there's still a little gap all around here. And that's just because that thing, this tongue that kind of just sets in there is not fully in there. The way to adjust that, you might have to use the mallet. I've had to do this multiple ways. When it's really bad, sometimes I have to lift up on the board and kind of give it a little tap here. That's, you could also get like a tapping block for that. I don't have that because I just didn't buy that because that was unnecessary for me. But also, there's this other method, which I didn't really hear anybody say, and I don't think it hasn't really caused me any problems. It's like when you grab your mallet, and this side's locked in, so you're already good here. If you kind of pull up slightly, right here, keep your fingers here as a backing, and then just put your mallet, and you're trying to make these kind of little like, bring towards things. All I'm trying to do is give pressure like this, because this is how this gets, pushed more towards this longer side, and then kind of tap it in with the mallet just so it kind of moves more together. It's not a big gap. It probably would kind of be fine in most cases, but I just feel like this tightens everything up and makes it better. So I'll just do that like all the way down, like you can kind of even see everything. And honestly, I just did it here. Sometimes you don't even need the mallet. You don't even need to just grab it like this and you just pull, it just kind of slides into place. And that's kind of more so how it should be. But it helps if you do that after you have this whole edge completed, because then you're not doing any real guesswork down here. And then like these boards are long. All right, this board is like a 4-foot board. Sometimes what I've had is like this side will kind of be in, but this side will be out. And then like I'll be working on it and it just doesn't exactly line up correctly. A lot of this has to do with making sure your rows are straight and all your other joints are good. But I'm just telling you, like, it does vary sometimes. For me, at least it has. But it's not that difficult. It's just, I think that a good order of operations there will definitely help you. And yeah, I'd say that's pretty good for the most part there. Maybe again, I like to always look back, especially at the beginning, once I have the end in, just to kind of see if I can, get that to kind of lay a little bit flatter in there. And always looking, this is a good way to kind of tell too, when you look up here to see if this is completely, if I can get a good overhead shot. You see how this left one's just a little bit, I was just trying to control for that. Again, I don't know how much that matters, like overall, but I just feel if you have like little tiny imperfections throughout, at the end, especially as you go through, you just want to control them as you go, because you'd be like probably 6 rows deep and they're gonna just multiply. So I don't know, that's the process there. Quick update on the flooring project, because we're in kind of a transitionary period here. I'm gonna show you my thought process and what I am currently doing. All right, so you can kind of see there's less shit over here now, because my issue was obviously I can't put floor down if there's stuff in the way. And the other thing that's actually somewhat you don't see it like right away all the time, is that I had room there, but I have to lay a piece of underpad down in our installation here. That's how we've been doing it. And this underpad is in, like the big roll of it is in almost like a 4-foot thing. So really I can't do any more until I put a whole piece of underpad down. So I have to move this stuff. That's pretty much the extent of it. So I moved some of the things. I had these little horses that I'm borrowing from my dad that have come in quite handily. And I was thinking about putting a drop cloth down and just putting that stuff on a drop cloth, but I was like, you know what, let's just do it like this. And this I think is a pretty good idea. So it's just kind of all chilling there. That's like quarter round that we still need to paint. This piece of baseboard that we need to put on right there. And then, the radiator covers and stuff that we need to paint. So I'm not worried about any of that, because we could paint that anywhere. Like we could, it's cold outside-ish, but we could like go outside and paint that. Like we probably should have painted it all and just had it all ready, but shit happens and we'll just paint all this and then we'll put it in the appropriate spots. It's all gonna work out fine. This is the only piece that I care about on these horses right now, is this baseboard that Amanda painted yesterday, because I have to put it right there, obviously, in that spot, and I have to do that before I lay this. So my plan of attack here was a couple simple steps. I need to move all the shit, which I'm in the process of doing. We're not gonna use all those boxes of flooring probably for the rest of this. Probably use, I don't know, maybe half of them. I don't know, like probably a box per like row-ish. So most of them will be gone, but I did buy enough for the whole upstairs. So obviously that's the case. But anyway, I need to move those boxes though, because we need to continue this operation. But, and I'm actually moving them, some of them into this closet over here just so I have access to them. But some of them are probably gonna like go downstairs, because I still don't know how much of the floor we'll need. But move the stuff is step one. Then I'm going to clean this area, this last stretch of area with, broom, vacuum, whatever. Maybe try to get some more of the dust off too, like with that squeegee thing or something. So move, clean, and then and then install this thing, at least get it up on the wall somehow. Maybe not fully nail it in or anything, but it needs to be in place. And then, because the next step after that is to put the underlayment up to it, and then we can, tape it down and start, keep going on that mission to get this floor finished. But we're definitely in great shape, because that's all we have left to do before that furniture gets here. And then we could just work on other things like painting all this quarter round and, placing all that stuff and everything. And I think when the furniture does get here, we're obviously gonna, if it's in plastic, we'll keep it in plastic, but we're gonna keep it off of the wall a bit, so we can kind of get that quarter round in, kind of almost in the middle of the room, get that radiator thing fixed up. I'm gonna have to install a shade over here for this window, and then just like the lighting as well. We're probably not gonna have to do too much crazy stuff there, because that's all pretty much taken care of, just kind of wire and then stick the thing in the ceiling. But yeah, this room is really starting to come together. So I'm gonna keep going and move that shit, and we're gonna be off to the races. Okay, we are just about ready to get back to laying floor here, but I figured I'd talk briefly about how I kind of went about cleaning this, and obviously it still has like paint on it, but in my opinion, that's not really gonna matter. We have the underlayment, we have another like underlayment thing attached kind of to this flooring as well. Honestly, I would go this way. I'm not gonna go too deep into detail, but this has really like softened the floor a lot. As long as you make sure that any real squeaky parts might have you know, some screws through them, like over here in this area, definitely gonna put screws through. It's very squeaky, very squeaky. So make sure your subfloor, whatever you're screwing into or laying the floor on, has you know, pretty good hold there. It's because like nails and shit back in the day were terrible for this and they cause all that noise. But anyway, I think we're gonna be fine. The things that I was looking for while I was cleaning this was around, especially around the edges, if there's ever any carpet or anything, make sure that all of the, you know, and nothing's like really protruding. Either pull them out, or if you can't, like smack them, you know, so they're level with the floor. That's fine. Make sure there's no like, over here we had the mud and everything, so I just made sure that all of the big peaks of stuff were gone. We kind of scraped it, but I don't think this is gonna have any problems. Like there's not, this is basically in line with the floor. It's just like kind of a different color. It's kind of like when you just get a little bit of paint on something. It's not really gonna matter. From my experience thus far, some of the floor, I mean, you might wanna level the floor. We didn't do leveling anywhere in this house, but it already has like the hardwood type thing going on, so we'll just have our fingers crossed on that. But if you're doing concrete or even like a regular surface like this, you might want to consider, you know, maybe doing something. These boards almost have gaps in them. And I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal, again, because really with this underpad, I really think it saves your ass a lot, because it gives you more, like the underpad can kind of go with any sort of small little things in the floor that might be screwing you up in one way or another if you just put the flooring down. So this is probably like the worst section of flooring, sorry for the sun, that I am gonna be covering here with just these little pieces that are kind of weird. But there was another small section like this in the bedroom, and I didn't have any real problems with it. So right now I just have that baseboard chilling in there. It's good for me for now. We will nail that in at a later time or whatever. Back to the cleaning thing, because I went on a rant there. All I did here was I inspected for nails and stuff, any sort of little protrusions or whatever. Then I hit it with a broom to get all like the stuff clumped up in one pile or whatever. Hit it with a shop vac to get all that, and went around the edges and underneath these radiators and everything. And then just now I took this little sponge broom thing that we got at Home Depot, and just, I'll put a link in the description to all the stuff, and took a sponge and just kind of like wet it down just to try to get some of the dust off and, you know, get any of that little excess fine stuff out of there. This is an imperfect operation, so I'm just trying to get some sort of adequate result out of this. You're never gonna get all the dust out of a room and out of a house, and I have to remind myself of that constantly. So this is good enough, and let's put this underlayment down and finish this damn floor. All right, it's about 7:30. Here's our update. We are almost done. We have one more row left to complete here, and unfortunately, obviously, the last row is always kind of a bit of a pain in the ass. But what's actually kind of funny about this is that when we started into this room, we came through the little doorway over there. There's just that little sliver that we kind of talked about for, you know, on this side with this wall. It's not very big. It's like, you know, just like this, a couple inches or a few inches or whatever. But over here, I thought we were gonna get absolutely fucked, because I was like worried about how big this was gonna be. And I didn't want it to be over a board, if that makes sense. Like these planks are about, you know, I don't know, like 8 inches, 8.5 inches or something like that wide. And I didn't want it to be like, you know, 10. So we would have that same situation. And I guess luckily, that's pretty much like the size of a board. I might have to take off like a little bit of this tongue, like just rip off the tongue there. But I mean, it kind of fits in there quite nicely, which is good. That just means pretty much less work, and overall probably better structure and support in this on this side. See that? That's amazing. That's pretty much how that's gonna go in there. But we have to start over here, and I'm gonna need to kind of like bend this thing, play with this thing, get it under there, and then, you know, notch out a space for it around the pipe and everything, and then go down this way. It's just jigsaw time is pretty much what the situation is. And then this is actually higher over here, but I'm gonna need to do another, you know, jigsaw cut around that pipe. Those aren't difficult. I just, you know, I haven't been using the jigsaw. I haven't used the jigsaw. We've just been laying plank for most of the day. The only other thing that's kind of concerning me is that this isn't fastened, which as long as it's in there, you know, I can just nail it in, you know, afterwards. But I'm not gonna be able to like take it out. Like, well, I could probably take that one out if I had a piece of floor in there, but this one is a little concerning because it has the nails in. We never really took it out, and it's kind of just chilling in there. And then I tried to hit it in with like just like a rubber mallet because there's, like I said, there's still nails in there, and I kind of broke it a little bit here. I'm still really not concerned about that, but I am slightly concerned because now I don't know what to do, whether I should just take it out and take the nails out and then put it back in kind of like this and let it chill there, and then we'll pop it in after the fact. I mean, I could try to brad nail this in right now, but I just haven't, I'm not in that mode. I haven't done that right now. And I haven't used the brad nail gun on any of this stuff, and those seem like bigger nails in the baseboard, not the quarter round when we get to that step, but that. So I don't know, just little things there. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm really excited about this. Even worst case scenario, if I left that like that, it's still not going to affect the furniture, because I'll just tell them to set it. I was going to tell them, honestly, if this piece is down, if this row is down or not down, the furniture is not going to be back there right now. It's going to be up more towards the middle of the room, because we still have to put that quarter round in, and we still have to paint that thing and put it on there, and we still got to work on the lights and stuff. So it's going to still shade a little bit more to the middle of the room. Probably not even going to put it together. Hopefully it's still in like plastic or whatever. But yeah, then we got to clean this floor up and get all this shit out of here and put it in the right spot. And it's coming together though, man. I gotta say, it's really cool to see like the black and the white theme. It's gonna be really nice when it's all clean on the edges with the quarter round and stuff like that put in there. That's kind of, you can kind of see there, that's kind of the look you'll get. Yikes. That's pretty cool. But that's the update. I think Amanda's bringing me pizza, so yeah, we gotta clean this up. I'm not sure how much we'll do tonight. Well, I mean, I don't know what we're gonna kind of do next here, but furniture's coming in about 14 hours, 14 to like 15 hours, so let's keep going. Okay, here we are. It's like midnight on Monday. Well, I think it's definitely after midnight, but whatever. The furniture's coming in like 9 to 12 hours, somewhere between 9:15 and 12:15. I checked the little tracking thing. It actually tells you like what stop you are too. It said we're stop 6. I don't know how long it's gonna take to get here, but we'll see. This is the state of the room. Looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I can't even, that's a big shadow there on the wall of that stuff, but I can't even begin to say how excited I am, how happy I am, and how good this fucking looks. This is, I mean, this doesn't really do it justice. I wish I could get a wider lens on this camera, but that's a topic for a different video. It's gonna look amazing in here. I mean, it really is. Yeah, I'm just kind of at a little bit of a loss for words. Those first like 2 or 3 boards over there are in and everything. I kind of just have these ones chilling here because I didn't want to just even risk it here with this whole baseboard situation. It's not totally affixed there yet, and I was just like, let's just let it chill there. It's really not going to matter. So yeah, I pretty much got everything else out of here for the most part. My plan and my thought process for when the furniture gets delivered here is to move that big mass there right in the middle of that. You can see the horses or whatever they're called in the the radiator covers and all that sort of stuff. We still have to paint all that, obviously, and I'm not sure where to put that. But I'm envisioning that the couch, obviously the couch is gonna go here, like out on that, in that corner. It's like an L-shaped section with a little chase thing. So it'll go over there, and then the final resting spot is over there, and then the chair is gonna go over here. But when they bring it in, I'm just gonna bring it, try to keep it towards the middle a little bit. It doesn't need to be used, or, we're not doing anything with it right now. But I'm really excited with the way this looks, man. I drew this up on these renders. Me and Amanda kind of, thought about a lot of stuff, and it's really looking good. Excuse that radiator that's not covered, and it really doesn't. I don't know how good it looks on this camera here, but it looks good. Trust me, in person it looks good. We got to paint this wall over here because it's still a little messed up. Also started to crack a little bit, the mud. So I think that's just because we kind of, I don't want to say we rushed it, because it's definitely, Gino did an awesome job, but I think that just our timeline, we wanted to get that done because I wouldn't have been able to do this floor in time and everything. I think probably the way you're supposed to do it is real thin layers, multiple of them. But it looks good, and if there is any little cracks or whatever, I will spackle them or whatever I have to do, because it's going to look fine once it's painted. It's going to blend right in with everything else. But yeah, really excited. Just very tired, really excited. Tomorrow, just to kind of foreshadow, I'll be here. I'm obviously going to sleep here. I'm gonna sweep and kind of maybe try to wipe down this floor a little bit, because there's just some junk on it, some no real dirt or whatever, just pieces of fuzz and shit here and there. So I'm just gonna try to give it a quick sweep. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I think I'm just gonna have to push it towards this, kind of along this wall. It's kind of longer than that wall though, so we'll just do whatever we have to do. We don't want to be moving furniture around per se, but we do want to be able to still, pop that quarter round on over there, kind of mess with the lights. I got to put that shade on the window whenever I get it. So, we're going to have to move it a little bit. I wonder if you can hear that. I'm sure you can hear the water kicking on. I found a funny thing on the steps, part of the trim, over there on the steps. I'm not going over there right now because I'm just tired. But there's a part of the trim that is on the side of the steps, and you take it off because it was it's kind of almost half, it was kind of sticking out a little bit, and then you take it off and you see it, and it's there's a pipe, a radiator pipe that runs down there, and that's where a lot of the noise comes from, in that wall in that vicinity. And it looks like there's a little piece of cardboard kind of stuck in between it and the other thing. But yeah, looks like my memory card is about to be full. So that is where we're at. That's pretty much the update for today. Tomorrow we're getting the furniture, we're doing it. It's gonna be awesome. We'll put it in here. I will update you on things we're gonna do there, because I'm gonna clean the floor, we're gonna get the furniture. I might paint a little bit of the ceiling in the kitchen, because we gotta start doing this floor, after here pretty soon, and then we're off to the races with the rest of the stuff we're doing. So that is the update. I'll talk to you tomorrow.